we're going to look a little bit. It's about being, more creative. Of course, you're all very creative, and when we, if you, even if, if you interpret compositions, that's a very creative process. So that's not really the thing, but I feel that somehow it's also now everybody's a little bit by themselves, so it's a really nice time to I've been quite creative myself, and so I'm very happy that we can do this little session here, a little bit about writing music. And I want to start off with a kind of a fun exercise. I suppose most of you have guitars there, right? Do you have pen and paper? I mean, this is very simple, so it doesn't have to be, but if you want, you can also write it down. I want everyone to do a little fun experiment. Are you all up for that? Put your thumbs, yes. The silent crowd. So, so do you have? If you have some, just to make this a little more fun, I want you to write down some things, and then you on different paper, some way to make it like we will pick some of those. It will be so random. That's the fun thing. Because the thing about being creative, if you want to write some music, it's kind of overwhelming, the concept that it is you can do anything, and you also feel very kind of, you want to do something very beautiful or whatever. So now I'm just gonna remove all those problems for you, just to lighten the mood a little bit. So I want, it's quite fun, it will be quite quick. I want you to pick 2 chords, right? And but we're going to do this a bit randomly. I want you to write down 5 fruits, like apple, banana, like pick 5. All right. And somehow you can do it on different paper, or you can rip them apart and make them into like a little lottery ticket, like a draw, like a lucky draw, or the unlucky. I don't know. You can make little things. Because while you're doing this, I hope you don't mind, I talk a little bit, because if we do look back in history, particularly in the Baroque era, when actually the composers, they were demanded very often to write really a lot of music. It was often part of their job to, like, especially like Bach, if you worked for the church, you were responsible for the music service, and there should be constantly new music written for this, So they had, even, it's known, some of them, they used sometimes mathematical games or little things like that. Some people had some kind of things, some shapes that were thrown on the floor, and then you see some kind of, like that, just because if you have to write so much, it's so hard to come up with new ideas. So. All right, so 5 fruits. Now I want you to write up and down, and then I want you to write wave up and wave down. Do you understand what I mean? A wave, like all right, and you will understand later. It will be mysterious now. All right, but you will understand this later. And have you all written that now? So we have some fruits, and we have up, down, wave up, wave down. All right. And now it's, so there's fruits, and now they have those 4. And now it's a third thing that we're going to do. And I want you to write harmonic. And then I want you to write sequence. All right, and now, does anyone not know what that means, a sequence? That's no problem at all. I mean, that's why Anyone does not understand? Okay, sequence is basically, yes, it's like it's the same thing, like that's a sequence, for example. All right. And the other thing that, since we're on this now, sorry to keep you on this whole, if there are anything vocabularies or concept, or also about, I know that some theory comes up quite often and people ask about that. And actually I wanted to say that the best way to, that I recommend to go on about that is simply to use the internet resource, for example, Wikipedia or other resources. If, you know, if there's just, if you come across something you don't know, then just look it up. I even, you know, because I forget, you know, so I do that myself, you know, about stuff that I, you know, forgot. Okay, so I said harmonic, sequence, and I'm going to say rest. Okay, rest, like, you know, pause. And what else? Cadence. No. Leave it there. 3 is enough. This is enough. All right, and now we're going to make 3. So you have 3 things you have to pick, basically. All right. And actually, I want you, remember I told you I wanted to pick 2 chords. So I wanted to pick 2 throats. So you're also quiet, so I don't know if it's, so say that you had, you know, so now you have 5 things you don't know, so you just randomly pick these. So I want 2 of the throats, and when you pick those, you're going to have to pick 2 chords that you feel sounds like maybe like eating that fruit. That's difficult. So so it doesn't have to be just a plain chord. It can be anything. It can be, you know, maybe lemon, you know, sour chord, or you know, whatever. And I want those 2 chords, and then you're gonna pick. Remember there was 4 things, and see what you get. Did you get up, down, wave up, or wave down? All right. And then of the third, you will have a harmonic, or a sequence, or what did I say? Anyone, what was the last thing I said? Rest, yes. So this is the game, and I will give you only like a couple of minutes. So basically, you make the 2 chords. Now, if you got up, you need to make a melody that goes up, all right? In between these 2 chords, all right? If it's down, there has to be a melody going down. And what is a wave? Anyone?
It goes up and down, or it goes down and up.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
This is not, there's actually not so much analysis work like that to describe shapes of melodies, but for me, that makes a lot of sense, right? You can see that melody can kind of be straight or like a line. And when I say this up and down, I don't want to just make a scale up. It doesn't mean that it have to be, but it has to be that it's starting and it's going up, right? So I give you like, how about I give you like 2 minutes. You can mute your things, you use guitars. No pressure, like only 2 minutes, whatever comes up. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. Because it won't, because it's weird, you know. So do you understand? The third thing is like, if you go to rest, you have to include the rest. If you go to harmonic, you have to include the harmonic, or you have to include a sequence. So if you go to sequence and the wave, for example, then you have to think a little bit. Maybe. never given a class where the students were so silent.
You want everyone to unmute themselves.
No,
That
no,
way you can
no,
hear.
I like it. It's just, no, because now, and I shouldn't disturb you. Anyone ready? I don't want to stress. I mean, yeah, actually, I want to, this is supposed to be very, just do it. Don't think, that's the whole point. So, while I see some people still writing, and I give you a little more time. All right. Anyone wants? Yeah.
Yeah. Just to be sure that I'm on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Picked up 2 chords, which gives me the feel of that. You mean, like?
Yeah, it's just yeah, exactly. It's just to.
And I try to make the melody like what we call like the wave going up.
Oh, right.
Then try to join the melody with the other chord I picked up.
Yeah, it's just like you have a chord and then you just join it with something. It's just very.
But it may sound very silly, like.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Yeah. So anyone is ready? Wants to show? Are you ready?
Should I kind of play a little?
Yeah. Tell us which fruits you had.
So the first fruit was apple.
Very good.
So it's a coincidence that I took a chord.
Yeah. Oh, that is a good one. I like that.
So A.
Yes. Oh.
The second chord was B minor. So just a quick idea.
Nice.
I'm fond of composing, but I'm not able to get the a good method or we can call a background knowledge.
Hmm? Yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I wanted to do with this was to show you that that this was a method of making music, and this was
we can say it was a good and a simple, like not thinking too much or
well, basically what theory is like the rules in a way, right? Like a framework. And here I made different rules, and actually there were not so many. Only, well, no, there were rules. You had to have 2 chords. You had to either make a line or so, and you had to include one of those things. So that is kind of like it's a game, and that I hope that will make you understand that that's also what theory and composition in a way is about. It's about deciding for yourself a kind of rule or a framework. All right, anyone ready? I want to hear some more. Thank you very much. Very good. Because there are many people here, actually it will be fun to hear some more. Who's next? They're still working on it. They'll be like a very... Yes!
Yeah, I would like to do it in fact. So
yes.
Fruits were mango and kiwi. And for mango, I used C major 7 with an added D. And for kiwi, I used A major 7.
I like kiwi. That's good. All right, let's hear it. Oh, nice. Giving more than I needed. But it was very... Well, we just had it. No problem. Anyone else? Who's up? Okay. Thank you. Veda is taking care of this unmuting business, I think, yes?
I unmute myself. Hello.
Oh, that's how it works. All right.
Well,
ready?
I choose these two, banana
Mm-hmm.
with a E major 7
Ooh.
and a mango with a C diminished.
Mm.
I don't know if I get good exercise, but I get like one, like this movement, like 1, 3, 2, like so. So it will be. Just that?
Very nice. Excellent.
Thank you.
Mhm. Next. Come on. We can do it a little. I think we can just gonna do it a little quickly. It's just so fun to share. I think.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, I
Anish.
have tried, yes. Or I was thinking about grapes and what is it called? Mangoes. Grapes and mangoes. Or
Very nice. Super.
oh,
All right.
yes.
Anyone else?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking of cucumber and grapes. So it was like,
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Cucumber is technically a fruit, right? Like tomato. A lot of people miss that out. Unfortunately, that sound was cutting out a little bit.
okay.
Can we do it again?
So,
Oh, very nice. All right. Next. No one? Too shy. Everyone disappeared on this. Well, here's the thing. What I wanted to show you is that actually in just a few minutes you can easily write something. It's all about what we kind of decide to do, and it's a little bit like anything else that you need to get sort of a little bit of a habit of doing it. And that's why these games are so fun, because they don't matter. All right. And it's just like playing your scales or something like that. But you're just getting the habit of actually creating something. And I mean, to be honest with you, sometimes in a composition, it might be just that scenario that I know that there's a certain, I want to go from this harmony to there, but I don't know how to go from, you understand? But sometimes I try to sort of conceptualize a little bit. Like, for example, I imagine just, oh, maybe it could be, you know, a kind of arpeggio going up, for example, or maybe there could be more of a scale, or there could be some chords in between. But in music, sometimes you have that. You have sort of stations, you know, or think about it like, I'm going to write a theme and it's going to be 8 bars. All right. And that's what I do for it. Maybe it takes me a long time, but it doesn't matter. And then I think to myself, what do I want with this now? For example, you can decide to make a contrasting a section, right? That is very, very common, like ABA, or you know, you don't want to go crazy and go into sonata, but it's basically a little bit, part of it, it's step by step. But actually, a lot of times what is very helpful is to have an idea what you want to do. And you can change that idea. But normally when I start a piece, I have a kind of an idea, what is the goal, you know? It's not I could just start and I don't know where it's going to finish. This is very helpful to think in that way. But again, you can also change it. And of course, that's why music has forms that we stick with, because this also, the brain recognizes it, or we like it. Of course, I mean, in most commonly, it's sort of in a pop song or so, you have the verse, right? And the chorus, and you might have some little, it's a fairly standardized form, and there can be some key change there. And I mean, the same goes with a lot of classical music, that they just stick to certain forms. Of course, the more modern we get, the less maybe, but still there's constant sort of reference to this kind of forms. So, so you're basically writing little bits like this, and that could have been a part of the piece. That's what I wanted to show you today with that exercise. Now let's see, we've been chatting away a little bit here. Hey, anyone wants to just ask something? I'll be happy to get a little feeling what's going on out there. And after that, I have been sent some really nice pieces that I just think it's nice for those guys who sent that in, and for the rest of you, it's, you know, could be also a little bit inspiration, maybe see what they did. So any questions? I would love to get a question.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello.
I just attended this workshop because I haven't attended any this year.
Mm-hmm.
To try it out, but I'm kind of feeling out of my depth because I'm in grade 3, and for me, like, most chords haven't even come into play. For me, I don't even remember all the chords, so I wasn't able to even do the exercise. So you have something to say to me, or
do I understand you right, that you're struggling a little bit with the kind of theory, basically?
Yeah, I'm in grade 3. I've not been paying too much attention to my guitar. I suddenly have a little interest on my guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm a little behind everybody in this class.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's not really important. We're very happy that you're here, and you know, it's time is relative too. It is, you know, it's no problem. And well, interest, of course, is the most important thing, and the passion. That will get you into it, and the fact that you're here means that you're interested. So that's great. All right, what I'm gonna, all right, so now with this.
I have a question.
Yes, good.
So this is just a check, but was this exercise used to break stereotypes about melody in music? Like, usually people get the idea from something else. So was this used to break some stereotypes and like start us thinking in a new way?
It was just to show you that you can write music, no problem.
Okay.
Because we took out the pressure, because you don't, I didn't want, it was not meant to become something very good. It was just an exercise where I think for most problems you start, and then you know what to do. And there's so many possibilities. And this is just what happened now. I'm sort of, I took out choices for you, basically.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Right? Because I basically restricted you, but still there's a lot of room for creativity. And I thought it was really nice, especially for you guys who are not writing regularly, to just try that a little bit. All right, thank you so much. This is awesome. And we are, I'm gonna, what happens if I share my screen? Well, so I got some nice, very nice pieces sent in here. I'm not going to be able to. Can you see my screen here? Yes. I have, is it 5 really nice little pieces here sent? How should we proceed there? Is there anyone that wants to like actually play it? Or do you want me to play a little bit of recording or try to play myself? So I want to start here with Amitabh, that he has written a nice composition here that is called Seeking Harmony. Could you tell us a little bit about this? Just quickly, very quickly.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, so I just wanted to write something warm and harmonious.
And what is the title about?
Yeah, it's trying to find a balance and taking slow steps.
All right, very good. Thank you. That was very useful to know that. Do you want me to play it? Do you want to play it, or should I play the recording?
Actually, I think playing the recording would be better because my internet connection isn't that good.
Let's hear a little bit here. Where did it go? Here. I think I can just kind of do this. See how that works. Oh no! Wait. Because I want the sound to resist. Yes, let's hear it. Where did it go? Yeah, here we are. Still, I'm getting the. Can you hear it? It's too soft, right? I don't think you can hear it, can you? Was that too soft? Anyone?
It was okay for me. I don't know about the others.
Yeah, I have been very well prepared here, but the speaker here just seems to have run out of battery. That happens. All right, so this is actually, I first want to say, I think you made a really nice piece here, and it's like a waltz, and it's quite interesting what you use a lot of chromatic stuff here. Okay. Do you everyone see this? So sorry, is that and this chord, I'm not sure if on the recording was a little different, but that doesn't matter. What I want to say, first of all, I really like the opening, okay? You have 4 bars here with this kind of chromatic line. You have G. And I'm going to just give you a couple of really quick comments here. I think what happens after here is also very nice. Maybe you could consider to keep that sort of chromatic feeling a little more. So when you get to the 5th bar, it could maybe be G sharp. What do you think? Then you get that.
Yeah, I actually thought about using a D sharp there, but like the dissonance, I didn't really want to dive into the dissonance.
G sharp, actually, that instead of G natural.
Yeah.
That's what I had in feeling. And then.
Yeah, the like G sharp and C sharp, I didn't really want that dissonance. Like the D natural and the G sharp dissonance, I felt that it was a bit too much, I guess.
I really like that chromatic line. And then what I think what's happening here is very nice, but I have a little problem with this spot here. If you look here with this, because basically what's happening is you're doubling the 3rd in the chord, which is also in the bass, right? So this is, that's okay, but it's usually not really recommended. So I just think, in a sense, you can also just really.
Mm.
In my opinion, I feel like that chord choice, because what happens is you have all these really nice juicy chords, right? Am I playing that right? And then that's too plain in context. Because basically you have always at least 3 notes here, or 4, you know, really nice harmonies, and then you actually get this very plain chord. So I would basically, and you repeat that a few times here. So I would basically advise a kind of editorial on which harmony that should really be. And I don't want to tell you what to do, but I mean, it works really nice also just with like an E9.
Yeah.
Right, for example. And then, so each time, you see here it is again, I just feel like that harmony choice isn't so nice. Then I really like this, this is very beautiful, very nice. But what you do here, I'm not so convinced by. We can sorry. And you end up with this very
No, it's a G natural. It should be a G natural.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Sharp or what?
No, it's a G and C natural. Like all the notes are natural there actually. The G and D should be natural. I forgot to write. Yeah.
A little bit better, but for my taste, it's something that was very. I feel like from there you lose the style a little bit. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, it's boring for people. I should really listen to that. Just that I had that problem with the speaker, because you actually play there. Let's try that again. Where is that section? Is it coming now? No, that's from the beginning. Sorry. Here. And then it's for me, and then you come back, and then it's very, very beautiful. Because basically it's like a ABA form, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What I would be looking is what you really want to achieve with the middle section, and because you're returning to this beginning here, which is also kind of in G. So just personally, I would feel that you should end up something that is more to do with a dominant. All right? Mm-hmm. Something like, and in this case, I feel you start in G, so I would like you to somehow, rather than end on an A chord, it should have been something more that really is and then that would, I think, complete that composition better. All right, and useful?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm not going to take a lot of time with each one, but I so sorry about this thing with the sound here that we're not getting that so good. Let's have a quick look here at this one from Siddhartha, right? Looks a little dark on the screen. Can you guys see here? Can you see? Let's hear it. Yes. Nice. All right. Thank you. Very nice. Atmospheric music. Yes, give an applause there. How well can you see this? Looks a little dark to me. Right? So it is it's very nice, and the guitar can do that very well. Basically, there is a single line, and then you have just some bass notes with it, basically. And of course, as it is, it can be very nice, very pure. But as this is a sort of a little bit of an educational event here, so basically, what I'm always thinking to myself in this case is, how can you make variations? In which way could it be different? And of course, I understand it's very nice, also mostly open basses. But sometimes we can also, for example, you have a high line. Let me play a little. Right, and then again, like coming back to after 4 bars there. Right? You can also, for example, because already the melody is quite high, you can always think of adding the bass higher. And then, for example, just for variation. And really quickly, try, see what you can do. Can you add more harmony in the middle? Could there be a middle voice? First, that's something I would, if I had written this, I would be curious what else I could do with it. And don't be afraid to have many versions, because this is a 1 page here, but if you started adding variations, etc., it could be much longer. And see, that was a little bit of a touch there. Would you like to say something here in your defense? No. Siddhartha, are you there?
Yeah, I am here.
So what's your
Yes.
what do you think?
Actually, I just write it when I don't think any deep theory or anything. Just write it.
Very nice. So what did you think? Did you consider developing it, adding more notes? Did that sort of come to your mind, or?
Of course I want, but the problem is I don't know how to become more complex harmony. It will come. I don't know.
Okay. Well, that's, you know, basic chord knowledge is very useful, but I mean, you seem to know that because there's an A here, which then is, you know, A, and then you have D, kind of D minor. Your bass line in a way tells you which chords you want to use.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much. And now we're going to go to Adarsh. Right? And this is quite a long piece. Thank you so much for sending this. It's not, if we're going to look too close to this, we don't really have time. But I want to, let's just hear a little bit so you get a yeah. Yes. so we can't really, unfortunately, this time focus on everything. But also because this is it's already very completed composition, and so I will just give you a little like a general ideas for you here. It's you're very creative and have a lot of great ideas. You have quite a lot of different parts, and of course we can make a piece that way. It's like a rondo form or rhapsodic. That is very fine, and you can find your way with structuring that. But in general, for example, you really start the piece here where it says kind of 100, and I feel that this intro in not that I don't say you should change the composition, but in the future experiment more like think of your music that you want to do, and then think of the intro as something that comes a little bit it should try to not think of it as one thing coming, but like this is the piece, and now I make a really nice intro that goes into it. The other thing I also want to say, because you have so many nice ideas here, don't be afraid to take any of these ideas and incorporate in other pieces. All right, this is a great thing when you are a creative writer, is that you have a lot of material that you can also do in a different way. All right. Do we have Adarsh there?
Hi, yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir. So whenever I compose, like in certain time of point, I cannot continue the piece.
Oh, isn't that interesting? Yeah. Yeah, and I feel if you can't continue, what you really should do is look at what you got and see in which way you can edit it. Basically, what I do a lot, I go over things many times and make small changes, of course.
Okay.
So if you're not feeling the flow, and it's better sometimes to not just try to complete the composition, but try to really look into the real detail. And basically it's very important to decide, like we did in the beginning of this class, where I decided for you what it was about, okay? But sometimes it's very powerful. You can tell yourself, I'm going to write an intro that will, gradually bring in the mood or something like that. You take a choice and then you pursue that and you try different ways which that can work. We don't have to expect all the music to just sort of come to us. I mean, sometimes we think of some composer like Mozart, so you're just writing down somehow what he hears in his head, but that's not really true, because basically a lot of it is thematic. It really follows a certain formula and language, and basically he was just so good at it and did it so much, so of course it became very almost intuitive. Okay, and then thank you so much. I'm sorry we don't have more time actually, but thank you so much for this contribution. And then we can we I feel about the time. Anish sent this piece. I have a little bit of, I think something has happened in your notation here where it shifted.
Yes.
Because you sent a recording and it sounds more like that should be somehow the one is not in the quite the right place. It looks like it's all shifted. But very quickly, I do want to. It's very nice. It is very groovy. I'm a little bit confused about this part here where you go. And then maybe that a misprint maybe. No.
I don't think so.
Very nice. Well, first of all, try to straighten out exactly how the rhythm should be.
Okay.
And I think basically this becomes kind of like an upbeat then. And I think that should be the one. Don't know if you can follow that. Maybe it wasn't big enough here, but it kind of got shifted like that. Otherwise, it's a very nice. I like it. It's short. You have basically, and then you have this single line,
Goes like.
and then you go. Yeah, so it's very.
Yes.
So this is actually what you're doing is very nice, and I think. But you really need to take the time and write it down as you play it, because this is it's when you play it, it's much nicer than when I read it.
I did it in 3 hours.
Very good, excellent. I'm very happy to hear that. What I would my best suggestion to you is just write more, to do more, do this more. You know, more short ones. The more you do it. But you know, get in the habit of notating it very well. It's just easier for yourself. All right, thank you so much. And then Akash sent in, and I know this piece is very beautiful, and I don't really have too much. I think this piece, most of you know that, right? He's probably played it for you. Akash, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, this is in a way it is a really nice example of why it is good to know your harmony in that and know chords, because you kind of really, you know, using really nice harmonies and in a very nice way. To me, it sounds, I get a little bit of almost like a slight Beatles inspiration. Is that correct? I guess.
I mainly came up with the middle, the chromatic part, and then I had to figure something out to kind of fit on either end of it.
Oh, really? Interesting. So that's also what I was saying before, right? So sometimes it's like that. It is not that we just start at the beginning and write something, but you might have the middle section. Well, let's play that one. Very nice, very well done. I like it a lot. It feels like you kind of find a little bit your style here. Then you have this thing that goes in 3. Could you tell us about why you put this in 3? Is that to create a kind of shift for the new section?
Just to create, because of everything before that was in this 4/4. This is just to create a little change of palette before it goes back to 4/4.
Yeah, it is a nice touch.
And I quite like the chord.
Oh, I love it. And here, it just, for me, I often automatically always think of things what they're like in different octaves. All right. So, I mean, when I write, and I mean, this is already. So this could also be, right? It could also be higher. It was just a thought, or 1 and 1. This is kind of how my mind works a little bit, but that's your choice. Then this is very, very, very nicely done. You have these 2 bars. And then you basically sequence that same 2 bars, but it works so nicely. It's almost like a, let's say, I don't even know what to call that, but sometimes you just have these kind of things that you can do in a sequence. And because of this really nice chromatic harmony, somehow we really feel, it doesn't get boring at all, even though you repeat it many times. And then you, and then you're in E major here, and then you go into this kind of more playful section where you introduce these triplets. Right?
Yeah.
That I really like so much. Then the only thing, I mean, because there's only one thing that I would like to, in a way, look at a little bit. And for me, it is not as great for some reason when you come back to the theme. After this, also, because, and I mean, and also when the recording you sent, you have a little bit, some synthesized in the back, like some strings in the back. It's a little different. And I just feel maybe for a classical guitar version, just as a solo version, I mean, if you're just gonna play, because you're starting with these triplets, right? Those. And they're so nice, and I wonder if we could somehow in the recap, basically after this, maybe we could. You see what I'm doing? I'm using that which came in the other section. What do you say, Akash?
Right. So yeah,
it's just an idea.
So basically you're taking the triplets and adding it to the main theme and kind of embellishing the theme, but not really in the same way it was played first.
No, because if I do it in triplets, then that also, of course, also, but that was just, or you could do it, you know. Also, but I quite like the idea of to do like, if you could do a triplet variation on the end, because then it's a bit like we had that theme in the beginning, and it's so strong and easy to remember. But now we've been through this journey of that middle section, and now it's coming back. But if it then it's like it changed it, you know, because we heard all that other music now. And sometimes I feel a little bit like my ear got so much pleasure out of those triplets.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I can bring the theme back, but it has evolved along the way with everything you've heard.
Yeah, you're not the same person anymore. You crossed that mountain.
Makes sense.
And then you could also, same in the, you can just consider it could be quite.
Oh, I love that one. I'm definitely.
Yeah, it's just so nice when you get another octave, you know, like one and then the other, and then it's the same music, but it's another octave. And the reason why I also thought of that, to tell the truth, is what I often like to look at in the piece is the range. Okay. And your main melody here doesn't go very high. This one, the middle section, does go quite high. But I don't know, it just, so that's a little intuitive, that in a sense, maybe I just wanted I just think some little high note somewhere could just give it a little extra spice.
Great.
All right. Thank you guys so much. This was, I hope, okay, so I think, did I miss something? No, I did all the pieces, right, Veda? Yes, awesome. Thank you guys so much. Hey, so what do you want to know? I would like, we were talking about that I could talk about some of my pieces. Maybe it could be nice here to play a little bit. But I play a little bit because now it's a lot of talking. And but what should I play? Let's see. I know, I'll play you something you haven't heard because you guys have heard me so many times. It makes me think that. Let me just pull it up. I'm actually going to just play a really short piece that is a part of a suite that is called Impressions of ZhengAn. So you know that I wrote a set of 5 Chinese impressions, maybe you remember? Are you still seeing my screen the whole time? Oh, all right, sorry about it. But now I will put back to myself. Hope. Oh, hang on a second. How do I put myself back? Oh, I see it. Wait. No. Oh. Am I back now?
Yeah, you're back.
Yes. All right. But then I have to. Let me just play something you haven't heard before. So this is a little bit the same idea as with the Chinese impressions, that they're short pieces, a little bit in Chinese style. Although these are more not about all China, but about Guizhou. This one is actually about, there's a special tea there. Well, white tea. Maybe you can get that in India too. Yeah, right? It's a very special tea. I like it a lot. So this one is about the white tea. Thank you. Well, why did I want to show you this? Because, well, I'm going to also now, since I managed to be without me so long, we're going to go back here. I'm going to show you a little bit. So this is in D major. I'm using a dropped D tuning. Okay. And actually it starts a little bit similar to like the same. It's a little bit the same register like my composition Song to the Mother. And that happens a lot, that there's a certain things that I really like and I keep kind of coming back to them. And there's so much you can do with it. This is a totally different piece. Four bars. That is kind of the theme. Right? Do 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 dim, da di di da dim, then di da da di da di, do do da di di da dum. And then if you look here, what happens is it's like you see, at least the beginning there's the same notes, but an octave up. But then it goes a little different. And as you see here, you can see kind of the symmetry here in the music, that here it was E, F, D, da, D, da, D, and here we go, D, da, D, 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 da, D, da. See here, this is basically variation. And this is this is very much how, also in Chinese music, a lot of it is that. It's just kind of variations on the same kind of patterns. So it's small little bits, but they actually make a long thing in the end. All right, so let me play you that again so you get a little more insight. This is a really nice thing. It looks so simple on the sheet, but I love this. You see this scale going up here? It's a pentatonic scale, but it's as important as the note is in this case actually how you play it, because I'm using so that if you are familiar with Chinese instruments, you have the Guizhou, then you get like it's like a harp, right? With lying down, so you really have all the. So it's sort of you using the guitar. Well, there's two things, you know, if you want to write. In this case, I'm trying to capture some of the Chinese style. Of course, the notes. But just as important is the sonority and the timbre. Actually, so those two have to be combined. So look, so basically that is about because it's slow, that little bit is not quite a minute, but 30-40 seconds. So this becomes, in this case, the A section. And of course here I'm doing something a little naughty, which is not traditionally Chinese, but it's like a lot of Chinese music today uses Western harmony a little bit. So this is very harmonious, although if anyone is really into theory, usually the seventh, the G here, usually you should resolve that. So F sharp, right? But then I really lose that Chinese feeling. end up with a chord without resolving the seventh. And then I have a really nice. We started off talking today about, for example, that you had to go down. Well, this is an example. There's a kind of a wave going down here, isn't it? Wouldn't you say so? So it's so nice to get that, like going from the high notes and then falling down to the low D. Thematically, it's very simple. And then first time was so just a little bit. It's not a pure sequence because actually here's the sequence. So after here we get just sequences. So that's a little bit what I talked about today. And then I like this harmonics. Think about variation. It's so important because the guitar is somehow, if we don't make too much variations, it sounds very plain. And on the contrary, the guitar truly is an instrument that can embody so much color. So let's use it. Here you see, kind of coincidence. Sometimes you have, it works, sometimes doesn't. It just happens that that theme I had can be done in harmonics. All right, so that's just wonderful news. You know, just the kind of things that, as I was writing it, I was like, yes, I can do this in natural harmonics, the same theme. So that really helped me to you know, to finish that off, that section off. And then it's just back to the beginning with with some variation. It's basically the same as the beginning, but I've changed a few notes. Like the first time it goes, and in the second time I just wanted somehow that in the second time it goes a little higher. So, but then it's same again. This is also the same. And then again, instead of I go. So this is a very subtle little changes that you can do, and that makes a really big difference. Okay, this editorial and trying to think of something different. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Do you want me to play something more, or do we take some questions now? I'm still strong here. Is there any particular piece by me that you want me to talk about?
Hello.
Hello.
I want you to maybe to speak a little bit and play some of your pieces that are like inspired. What? I was saying if you can like talk a little bit how you approach to like the Indian music.
Yes, of course.
I would love to hear something like that.
Well, because you are, well, you know, this goes way back. This is fantastic. I mean, like, many of you were there, you know, all these years. And so, you know, as you all know, it is very, India is very special for me. And this festival and other things I've done in India, it's you know, it's been a very, very nice journey. And of course, I had sort of done some writing a little bit in Indian style before I came to India, but it was really after that that things started moving, and it ended up with we made the India CD. Akash is on that too. You all know that CD, right?
I like to know about.
I was gonna show it. I don't have it here. So anyway, so that Indian journey has been awesome, and I'm so happy about how that went. And of course,
How did you get?
I'm a Western trained guitarist, so of course I have a limited understanding of Indian music, classical music, but that doesn't matter so much, because what I did, it was more like trying to embody those sentiments and those sounds and try to kind of get them into a guitar. And the main difference, of course, is the improvisation. These are compositions and not improvisations. So already we are what I love about it so much, that in a way I was able to be very creative and kind of create some kind of language for the guitar. It has been awesome. And actually, I would love to at some point, I would like to get back more into it. And I will. But I mean, that CD for me, it's very special, and those compositions. Basically, and any of you can, I would encourage you to play with this, because you're Indian, and you all know some, I think, about Indian music. So it's basically about the scale. So all of those compositions, it's not like it's not like I sit down and I have some idea. I really had to kind of start very basic, and what was the key was the retunings, to change the tuning of the guitar. And the main reason for that is because Indian music is completely modal. So you're never going to ever play a note out of the scale, really. All right. So that means that if one of your open strings is not a part of the mode, it's really not very good, because you will never use it. And Indian music, like I said, is not just the notes, it's the sonority. And what is special about it is all its resonance, right? All the resonating strings on the guitar. If you take that out, it doesn't sound so Indian anymore. Are you agreeing with me? So that's why it became so important to look into the tunings. And the other thing, as you know, in Indian music, the tonic, right, is very important, most important. And then so what works really well is basically and the interesting thing is that although I actually came up with this myself, it's very similar to how they tune the Indian slide guitar. And that made me realize, so that means that it's not that I was so smart, maybe, as that something in that seems to just be the logical conclusion. That's what I thought, because the slide guitar, then you will have, so it's D on the first string, all right, instead of E. So then you have, and then the fourth string is D, and then as if it was a normal drop D tuning. And then usually I think, and I might not remember exactly right, it would be G. And then the third string is either flat, like now I had it already flat. Or for more. It's another for example, is rag manch kamant, right? So this is a really funny rag. I mean, I don't, but so one, you cannot go from 1 to 2. You have to skip to 2 when you go up, and then you're allowed it on the way down. I'm sure some of you guys have noticed better than me, so. But that's how Drops of Silk is really, because you have you see when I go out, you have to skip the E. So this is a theme that really makes use of that twist to that rag, right? But saying that, all of this, if I would just play it without this, or the resonance, we wouldn't get any close to the effect that I was looking for. And what I do a lot, as you can see, like for example, here's an octaves, it's all on one string, mostly. The melody is always kept on a single string. When you like, this is just on. So it's really mainly using one string for the melody, or in this case, I double it just to give it. And that there you have another very Indian thing, is a conversation. Or sorry, this is the answering. Now. So there was. So this is actually, that piece is written, I think, in the same kind of tuning that you actually would have on Indian slide guitar. Okay. Then I have kind of deviated from that tuning a little bit. So like what happens in the Night Flame. Then we had the B flat, but I didn't want a G actually. I wanted A in the bass. So this is kind of more my own. But when I started writing these pieces, the first thing I did was just this working out the tuning somehow. And then I just played as if it were just a scale. Like in this case, it was Rag Kirani. Just trying getting used to that tuning. So it really took a long time, if you see what I mean. It's something that you don't just get into writing. There was something that had to develop over time, because I needed to kind of just rethink how to use the guitar, basically. All right? And what was with the Night Flame in Kirvani is that I heard Kirvani on the Santur, the instrument, which is one of the few Indian instruments that doesn't use glissando. All right, so it's basically our best, I think it is our closest potential to in a way, because that is like with Indian slide guitar. I mean, it's all about sliding, and it's just something we can't really do other than, you know, normal slides. But of course, that on the tour, you know, you can do so many things and make it sound, and you all swish, swish, and it almost sounds like some kind of glissando, right? So a little bit. That kind of texture, and that has to be done then that you play it with. So of course, the fact that it's an open D here makes it so much more comfortable, you know. So to be able to create that effect. Another tuning I have used is also the one with G and G flat. Remember that the piece that it called "From Her Source to the Sea"? That was, yeah, that was we played for the first time, I think, in Kolkata Festival, I think. So anyway, so look, but if you're interested in this, now I also gave you those tunings. So experiment, and what you do is just you pick a rag, you know. And you just play it as if it was just scales. Just you can spend days just getting used to it. See, you have to mind, you know, with the retunings. Sometimes it's also. I did talk about encouraging people to get into theory, but sometimes it's very useful also to forget about it. And that's so good with the retunings, because I'm so confused about what is the notes, you know, that I start more hearing, oh no, this would be this note, which one is it? And it's really nice to improvise with those scales, with these kind of tunings too. It's the best for improvisation. Because it's so safe also. Already it's quite, you know, charming there. It's good enough for a you know, playing some restaurant maybe. So. You know, just sit there a little bit. No, but it was very nice, pleasant. You know, there it was. You know. It happened to me that is actually when that year when I was in India tour with ICCR, and I was in Ashoka Hotel in Delhi. You guys, I mean, it was once upon a time and a fine establishment. Of course, at this point, it has gone a little rundown, as you might know, but it's still very nice to be there. And there was some misunderstanding where they thought that I was 30 people. And it was only me. And so I came to have lunch and they were like, oh, where's the group? You know, and there were, you know, like 10 people there waiting with food. And there was like a group of musicians playing. And well, I was a little bit, it was a lot. I couldn't eat all the food, obviously. But then it was very nice. And then these guys were playing some tour and that was super nice. I felt very privileged. Obviously it wasn't intended that way, but you know. Next time the new Johannes Möller and his 30-man band is coming. So next time you all join me and have some food. All right. Saying that, if they're still, yeah, thanks. Everyone's very, I mean, I actually feel strong here. So there are many other tunings you can use too. Basically, it is something I do. Sometimes I sit down and play with tunings a little bit. It's very nice because it's creative, but it's not very, doesn't demand a lot from me, and it's more like play. And I think that's ideally how it kind of should be. It should be a kind of something we do out of inspiration somehow. But there is another end to it too, and that what works really well for me. Well, it's a bit like with practicing. I just have to put the time. You know, I just have to say, now I'm going to focus on this. All right, maybe I and I just sit down. And it's not so, I'm not demanding myself to be productive in a certain way during the time. It's just about putting the time. Maybe I put the time, maybe the first day I come up with almost nothing. And the next time, maybe also, but it didn't matter. But because I'm now putting this time, by third time, something will come up. But if we don't, a little bit, of course, ideally it's something that you're inspired to do, but you need to not just be inspired and play, but you need to also take the time, just like with practicing. You all know that the more time you take, you know, better achieve something very well in say an hour slot. Like it could be learning 4 bars, but you learn them so well. You know, that's realistic. I think in 1 hour you can learn 1 bar so well that you'll never forget it. And this is kind of the same for writing too. That it doesn't have to be extremely productive, but if you put the time, something will come out. And you know, and that's the fun part. Maybe we don't know what's going to come. Guys, this has been super awesome.
Maybe one more performance before you go.
I would love to play something more, because I kind of, you know, I don't know about you guys, but now I'm used to just run around. I was supposed to have been back in China and Germany. I was just to, you know, play a lot of performances, kind of habit a little bit. So I miss a little bit playing guitar, like for people. So I just don't know, what should I play? I kind of wanted to play you something.
Ananda, please.
Ananda, okay, yeah, absolutely. Now I've been experimenting with tunings so much that I need to, no, that's still D, right? So yeah, got it. It happened to me some point. I had it, and I did it wrong, and my whole guitar had gone like really like a semitone too high. Then I had to keep playing. Actually, to be honest with you, I haven't played this piece. Sometimes it's very interesting too. All right, so this is a totally different tuning. That is which uses a low B on the 6th string. So it's low, dark, you get a really dark sound. And then 3rd string is to F sharp, because, well, that's the 5th to the B, right? So, what is a little different with this tuning is here, you have the G in the bass, and the A, E here. They're not, if compared to the other tuning, there was more unified sound with the open strings. But this is kind of, this piece wasn't trying to do the same thing, so. Let's see, okay, if I don't remember, I make a new version for you. There was a little bit different version there, but and it was fun in its own way. Don't play that. Play the right version if you're gonna play it. Hey guys, this was so much fun. And now it's warmer here. It was a little colder in the morning. I'm feeling warm now. All right, thank you so much. Anything before we say bye? All right.
It was awesome.
So yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Thank you guys. Yeah, happy to
some flamenco
again sometime. We do it again.
Wait, somebody saying something.
Okay.
Could you play something flamenco, like to finish?
Flamenco. I can. You mean something like I can play something lively if you want.
Okay, that's also anything. Just a good finishing.
That's true. It's normally you do finish with something a little bit more lively. But what should it be? Well, now it's honestly we have been pushing this guitar with a tuning, so I'm just gonna. You're probably sick of it, but there will be a little bit of night flame here because.
Oh yeah.
Normally in the concert, what I do is that I talk a little bit and tune, and then eventually it goes somewhere in these different tunings. Right. So just the end here, we're gonna get a little speed. I'm gonna go, because I think that when I play loud, it gets a little strong. So I'm gonna just back up here a little bit. Sorry. right. Get some, maybe some distortion early and